So you want to main Wraith. Well, do you like blackjack? Do you like gambling? Do you like Tommy guns? Do you like gambit? Why would you? Do you like the late game? And do you like Balatro? Then Wraith, the telekinetic gambler, is for you.
The cornerstone of New York's gambling scene, Wraith's organization is about as open a secret as it comes. However, thanks to a non-trivial amount of bribes, shakedowns, and blackmail, Wraith knows that she's above the law.
Wraith is a well-renowned mobster and casino owner that acts as her main base of operations. Being a degenerate gambler herself, she goes from game to game always searching for a bigger and bigger high from the adrenaline rush of hitting big.
You look nervous.
Anyone who says they aren't nervous when the stakes are high are either liars or morons.
I thought you were some big gambler.
That's why I do it. Nerves let you know you're alive.
Like every degenerate gambler ever, or train, gambling 60 million in 3 hours. And even though she is a gambling degenerate, those tendencies can put her in hot water with several other factions within the Deadlock universe.
I don't bow to the seventh moon.
However, just because Wraith is chasing a high from gambling herself, like all good dealers, she stacks the deck in her favor every time. Unless you are an outlier and someone even she wouldn't bet against. She stacks racks and she stacks bodies, but she'll never be able to stack bodies on the same level that Drifter can stack bodies.
You like to gamble, right, Wraith?
I know where you're going with this. Here's the problem with gambling on body counts with you. You're a psychotic killing machine, which means if I incentivize you to kill more on top of that, there's a non-zero chance that you don't finish the ritual because you want to pad your numbers.
You really thought this through?
I really wanted to make it work.
Thanks for considering it.
Aside from trying to figure out how to gamble on kills with Drifter, Wraith has worked with several people in the cast of Deadlock. Some are her customers, like Abrams, some are her former or potential associates, like the Fairfax industry, and others are people Wraith want dead for many different reasons. Viper. It's always Viper. It's just always Viper. If you couldn't guess Viper by now, you haven't been paying attention to the goal failure of Deadlock.
Hey, if we survive this and you're looking to hire an enforcer, I'm your girl.
I'd never hire you.
Why? Because I tried to rob one of your poker rooms? That's like ancient history.
It's not. But tell you what, if we complete the ritual, we'll call things square.
You know what? I'll take it.
Wraith is someone who wants to get you addicted to gambling, put you in debt, and then force you to take out loans, or what she calls markers, to put you in debt to the casino and, in extension, Wraith herself even more. It's how she was able to build her criminal empire through ruthless business moves, paired with her charm. She will almost always lead you into a false sense of security before going straight for your jugular. Don't believe me? Look at this interaction she has with Billy.
What do you do for fun?
What?
What do you do for fun? I mean, you say you hate everything, but there has to be something.
Don't act like you want to get to know me.
I do.
Bullshit.
I really do.
Why?
So we can find common ground, share some laughs, bet on sports games, then hold markers when you can't cover them. It's a whole thing, but it starts with building a connection, you know?
And it also translates really well in-game to Wraith as a character. She's fairly straightforward. In-game, Wraith is a hybrid hypercarry, the ultimate definition of a glass cannon, and a character that is incredibly easy to pick up and play for those that like hero shooters and want to learn MOBAs, or MOBA players that want to lean more into the shooter-heavy aspects of Deadlock. Sorrel and I like to call her a fundies character, where the fundamentals of Deadlock can and will carry you extremely far with this character, simply because of how simple her kit is. The entire idea of her character is to stack the deck in her favor and then go all in on the enemy to cash out big. And if she's in trouble, she can always just dip out with one of her abilities. Wraith is an incredibly enjoyable character, and you're going to learn why for this very specific reason. Starting off with her gun, the Rake. The Rake is a rapid-fire, medium-range machine gun, dealing 60 damage per second at base with no boons. This weapon scales incredibly well paired with items she builds, and here is some math. Chicago Typewriter Edition. You're going to have to get used to holding down M1 on this thing, as you are doing nothing but holding down the trigger and let this thing rip people to shreds. This is how you build up your poker hand. This is how you rig the deck. And that's just the start of this hand of poker. So let's shuffle the deck and deal them out with Wraith's first ability, being Card Trick. This ability has a lot to it, considering the fact that Wraith got reworked recently, in relative MOBA terms, so I'll break it down into parts. Dealing damage generates cards of random suits. When a card is generated, Wraith can cast the ability to throw the card. Cards thrown fly towards the enemy or point under your crosshair. Each suit has a different effect. Spades increase the damage dealt from cards by 60% at tier 1 and 100% at tier 3. Diamonds inflict a bullet and spirit resistant shred when it hits an enemy hero, the shred value being 8% at tier 1 and 13% at tier 3. Clubs inflicts a movement slow, the slow being 30% at tier 1 and 50% at tier 3. And hearts heal you for a flat amount scaling with spirit power. The scalings also are improved at tier 3. And finally, we have the Joker. Well, it's Jimbo. It's Jimbo the Joker, which is just every card effect in one. The chances of generating a Joker card actually are affected by this ability's tier levels. At tier 1, you have a 11% chance of generating a Joker card, and at tier 3, it's 20%. And here's some blackjack math. Balatro. This entire ability is Balatro in a nutshell. You generate cards, you throw cards, and depending on what suit you've got, you either heal, slow, shred, DPS, or all four if you end up rolling Jimbo. Which, you know what? Fair enough. You roll Jimbo, you are going to do a lot. But what happens when the enemy decides to say, fuck you and your cards, and dive at you? Well, that's where Wraith's second ability comes in, which is Project Mind. Wraith teleports to a target location. This ability gains a barrier at tier 2, scaling with spirit, and here's the teleporting math. I'm not even going to try and come up with a witty joke for this one. Project Mind is Wraith's only escape tool. Thing is, it doesn't guarantee the fact that you get out of a fight, as characters with far more mobility and far more stickiness will be able to chase you down with no problem at all. A good example of this would be a character like Lash. But when you are in position and when you want to let things rip, that's where Wraith's third ability comes in. Full Auto. Wraith imbues her weapon with bonus fire rate and spirit damage. The spirit damage has scaling properties, and at higher tiers, this ability gets reduced cooldown, duration, and scaling. Oh, and did I mention unlimited ammo at tier 3? And here's some math.
They clicked on the ability, rattle them, boys!
This is literally everything with full O. You're in a fight and you need to put some damage down, you press 3 and watch health bars drop. This ability also makes Wraith's sieging ability unmatched because having unlimited ammo on a gun carry is one of the fastest ways to lose a walker, mid-boss, or one of your shrine guardians. For Wraith's ultimate, when you're in a sticky situation you need to turn the tide in your favor, or just, buy yourself some time to get out, we have Telekinesis. Wraith lifts an enemy hero into the air and then slams them toward a target location. When the target hero is slammed, they are dealt spirit damage and are slowing hexed, preventing movement-based items, stamina, and abilities. This gets the usual expected upgrades from the higher tiers, and here's some mind-reading math.
Blows up carry with mind.
My fucking carry! Telekinesis is a flexible ultimate for various reasons. Need to shut down hypermobility for a couple of seconds, peel for yourself, and throw the enemy away from you? Or, if you need to throw a squishy into your friendly Abrams and watch him cave in their skull like it's nobody's business, Telekinesis is a good ability. Powerful, strong, and it's the reason why Wraith has the Isolator in her title card. But how do you play Wraith? Considering the most well-known Wraith player in this game is, last time I checked, Metro. Yeah, no, we're not talking about Metro. I'll just try the best of my ability to describe how to Wraith myself because I have some experience on her. For one, the lane preference I would have would be green, yellow, blue. Green lane is just an incredibly safe lane to be around when it comes to Wraith. Considering you have a lot of cover to play around, and green lane just allows you to not worry about being slammed from midair from a Lash from 7 miles away, you can just dip, dive, farm, and chill. And depending on what side you're on, you have your tier 1 camps to farm at 2 minutes. Yellow lane is the same as green, but as established in the Lash video, characters that can utilize things such as the crane and high ground make yellow lane a lot scarier than it should be. Especially if you're playing into a Lash as Wraith, because at that point, you're not really gonna be able to fight the Lash all that much. Because Lash in yellow lane, that's his playground, that's his turf, that's the Lash's world. And the Lash don't appreciate no gambling. So yeah, keep that in mind. I would prefer green lane every single time. And blue lane is just a very brawl and roam heavy lane. Wraith is a character that should always be on a side lane simply due to the nature of her kit and her character. So the preference should be green, yellow, blue. If you can play green every single time, be sure to do so. Early game, unless you can aim really well, you're a farm bot. You don't do anything particularly well early game, and you get blown up if you try to do anything. If you have cards, you can trade into an enemy team, as that's usually the only time you want to trade with Wraith at any given time in the early game. You get a slight power spike at level 6 when you do get your ultimate, but even then, you don't really engage in the lane unless you are just better than the enemy team. You stay farming and you get online as fast as possible. When you get items such as monster rounds and QSR online, you become a little bit more of a threat and you can trade back with a bit more than you would without QSR. But considering Wraith is a hyper carry late game monster, you're at your weakest in the early game and not even strong in the mid game. In the mid game, You take your ability to farm to the extreme. You sit in a side lane and farm until you get your core items online and can take over in the late. You're an incredibly good split pusher though, so I really wouldn't threat wanting to be up there trying to take objectives. But I wouldn't recommend going for a split unless both teams are committed to fights such as Unstable Rift, or in the rare case it ever occurs, people decide to fight for Urn for some reason at this point. You clear waves and you clear jungle camps. You're one of these characters that enter into the jungle for 20 minutes and come out a monster, and you maximize your farm. You only really fight when you have your cards stacked and your ultimate ready to go. A big one is to pay attention to the map at all times and keep an eye out on where the enemy last was on the map. Because if you're over the halfway line and 3 people are missing, there is a good chance that they're about to pull a sword of Damocles on you and execute you on the spot for being overextended. Macro is your friend. Macro is the one thing you need to really refine with Wraith in the mid game, and you learn it and run with it. Map prio, where the enemy is, remember your timings, and you just go from there. Clear wave, clear 2 or 3 small to medium camps on one large jungle camp, and by the time that is done, the wave should have been caught by the enemy team and pushed back. You should be pushed back into your side of the map for an easy wave catch. Rinse and repeat, and you should get into late game with no problems, unless you are getting hardcore doved and targeted. Late game, if you've done everything right, you're a monster. Nothing, and I mean nothing, can contest you in a team fight if you don't get hardcore focused. The only other time someone is going to really contest you is a fellow late game carry. Good example? 7. Anyone that isn't a frontliner that stares at you the wrong way will get immediately turned to Swiss cheese, because with God as your witness, you'll smite down this person in several different ways if your Chicago typewriter doesn't do it for you. Your ability to vomit out cards and hybrid spirit / bullet damage is an incredibly scary experience to anyone on the receiving end of the barrel. It's hard to build against too. The only time you should really worry about anything like that is if someone has like specific counter items for you, like a disarming hex, phantom strike, some form of bullet slow like Juggernaut. But at that point, you should have something like Unstoppable ready to go, so that way you're able to just rip through people with no problems. Paired with your self-sustain, you can pretty much take over games with no problems. And at this point, you will have stuff like Capacitor, Lucky Shot, and Glass Cannon, paired with the spirit items that you run. Your objective at this point into the game is just to get in there, put your damage down with full auto, interwoven with card trick casts to maximize the damage you deal. Anyone that's hard CC'd is usually guaranteed to die within 3 seconds unless they have actives or disarming abilities like I said. Telekinesis to counter the other big ultimates that an enemy team might have, or you're being dove really heavily by one of the front lines and you need to get them out of your face. You have to play a little further back from your front lines, but not too far back to the point where your damage falls off completely. Keep up the consistency and ability to aim and you should be able to finish off the ritual in no time. As for builds, well, gun is a simple case of the things that gun carries are known for building. Tesla rounds into Capacitor is Wraith's almost fundamental at this point. Monster rounds and Culture Sacrifice for farming, because you're going to be using monster rounds quite a bit, because you're going to be clearing so much stuff. Titanic Magazine or Escalating Resilience when you need ammo, escalating more into bullet-focused teams and you need the defense. Burst Fire and Blood Tribute are interchangeable with one another, but you'll need the fire rate and the movement speed. Blood Tribute is not really recommended unless you have a sustained item like Leech ready to go, but it's very good, hence why Burst Fire is usually more of a user-friendly sort of deal. Fleet Foot is another good one when you need the speed to shoot stuff and you also don't want to slow down while shooting. Recharging Rush for maximum Gambit level cards, Spell Slinger because you will be slinging spells like it's nobody's business, and for Chungus items you have a choice of AP rounds, Glass Cannon, Lucky Shot, or Ricochet. Ricochet is arguable for being a core item, so, you know, keep that in mind. Most of these picks are when you're turbo ahead and you want to utterly ruin the enemy team's day. Green, you're building into shields and lifesteal. Grit into reactive into indomitable is an incredibly good choice for when you need to save your ass from burst damage. Leech is a must build on Wraith simply due to the nature of her abilities being hybrid damage, and it means you can utilize items such as Blood Tribute a lot better, as stated previously. Siphon Bullets when you're playing into a heavy frontline loaded team comp and need to stay in the fight for longer. Debuff Reducer or Dispel Magic when you need to deal with debuffs, and of course Inhibitor as a weird flex item, but it's not really needed for all it's worth, unless you're playing into insane amounts of healing, and at that point, yes, build your Inhibitor, fuck shit up. Spirit, you're building 3 items every game and I'm not arguing. Mercurial, Magnum, Surge of Power, and Boundless Spirit. These 3 items are your core spirit damage engine. These 3 items are just so incredibly nice for Wraith that it isn't even an argument as to not build it for her. If you have flex slots available, you can build cooldown items and charge items for extra card generation, or just extra cards in general, especially with the math behind how cooldown affects card generation, so go nuts with that if you want to. Aside from that, you don't really build anything else spirit related unless you want to go for like a weird defense shred Wraith build. And even then, that does work. That does work. Wraith is a character that is as smooth as she is scary. A naturally charming disposition juxtaposed with the vicious businesswoman that she is. Perfectly reflected in game as a carry that while doesn't seem all that scary at the start, you let her stack that deck in her favor and you will find out the hard way why the house always wins. I'm proud of writing that. Wraith is a fun character and is generally considered one of the newer player-friendly characters in the game regarding picking up the basics of Deadlock and MOBAs as a whole. As she doesn't have a kit that's all that confusing, playing her optimally is an entirely different beast that ties more into the core fundamentals of Deadlock itself, hence why she's a fundies character. So if you like the whole idea of dealing the playing cards and making them go boom, then play Wraith, and never let them know your next move. Now, if you excuse me, I've got to get out of here before Wraith decides to chuck a joker through my screen. I'll see you around. I'll totally not be trying to get out of my crippling debt by playing Balatro. I'm addicted to that game, help. It's been Azura, and I'll see you goobers in the next video. Bye! Hey there, I'm Azura. Can I just say thank you all for watching this latest So You Want a Main video on Wraith, and I just wanted to personally record a message and say thank you all for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's kind of crazy, actually, how far I've gotten. And don't worry, the gravy train is just starting. There'll be more videos to come and more things that I want to try down the line, but I just simply want to say thank you all and see you around. Bye-bye.